Hey guys, I am Game Advisor, and today we'll be going over 10 things you didn't know about Marauders. So with that being said, let's just jump right on into the video. First up on our list is the fact that you can find keycards and use them to get into other people's airlocks. Make sure to also right-click them, as when you do, you'll be able to figure out whose ship it is and what type of ship it is as well. This is important because if, say, you want to get something better than a Rustbucket, you're gonna want to know that you have a card for one. Another important thing with this tip is the fact that you need to have your captain's keycard in the captain's keycard slot within your inventory. If you have it just randomly in your backpack, it actually will not work. This means if you get a different keycard and you want to use it, you need to move it into that slot in order to be able to do so. Second up on this list is kind of just a quick tip for you, and that's the fact that you can actually camp out people's airlocks. Do keep in mind that this does kind of make you a bit of a rat, and it's kind of frowned upon within the game, but hey, it is a great way to get loot by doing no work. In order to actually find these places though, you're gonna have to go ahead and interact with a computer console, which will then tell you if there is a ship there or if there is no ship found. If there is a ship there, it will give you a message saying, "Warning, wrong airlock." If there is no ship there, then it will say no ship at this dock. And once again, if you happen upon a key from earlier on when you killed someone, then you might be able to use that airlock by simply putting their key in your key slot. Following that is the fact that armor actually has a hitbox. This means if you get shot in, say, the stomach just below your armor, then you will take full torso body damage. Helmets seem to also interact the same way, meaning if you shoot someone in the face and they happen to not have some kind of a face shield, then they're going to take that full critical damage. Whereas if you shoot them at the top of their helmet or in the back of the head and it's protecting those spots, then they will not take that critical damage. Next up is kind of just a quick one for you. This one is the fact that limbs do approximately 25% less damage than a body shot does. This means if you're using a low damage weapon, say an Uzi, you might want to actually target limbs rather than the torso. And I'll explain why that is because of the next thing you probably didn't know, which is the fact that armor will reduce damage by roughly the numbers shown next to it in your inventory. So when you're using that Uzi and say they have 5 armor or say a 9 armor chest piece or 8 or 6 or whatever, and it's only doing 20 damage, you could actually be doing more by simply shooting them in the leg or the arm, where they'll be taking that extra point or 2 per bullet. And yes, that can win you a fight. It has many times for me, because if they're wearing tier 12 or tier 8 armor, that is a lot of extra damage you're getting versus pumping it into armor that doesn't really matter. It's important to note that, as I mentioned earlier, if you get shot in the head and you have a helmet to protect you based on where you got shot, then it will prevent the entire critical damage effect. In total, critical headshots will do approximately 3.5 times the damage of the bullet. This means any gun in the game can two-shot you with any bullet if you don't have head armor. Even having the cheapest head armor will give you some kind of protection against getting two-shot from the back or side of the head. Therefore, it's super important to always try to have some helmet on to give you that chance of just not being instantly two-shot and getting that critical effect multiplier on you. Next up is just how you're able to actually get in vaults. A lot of people have actually asked me this question on our Should You Buy video, so I wanted to go ahead and just communicate it to you. In order to do this, all you need to do is get a blowtorch and then blowtorch the 3 different locks off of a vault. To find a blowtorch, you're just gonna kind of have to look around. I found them in a variety of places, but the most consistent place seems to be in these kind of locked little crates that you can find. They have like a yellow sort of oval shaped top to them, and you will need a lockpick to get in. But once you do, usually they're going to have things like toolkits and sometimes even blowtorches. Keep in mind the aim reticle for blowtorches seems to be a little off center, so you might waste a little bit if you're not careful to aim it properly. After that is the fact that you can buy vests, knives, and other various things and then scrap them for materials. Just to give you an idea, you could go and buy a bunch of super cheap tier 6 armor chest plates, then scrap them for a very high chance to get the base synthetic scrap, or S-scrap I think is what it's called. Either way, there's a ton of scrapping materials you can get this way. You can get the materials you need to make lockpicks, make other armor, make bags, helmets, all sorts of stuff. It's also not that expensive in the long run, so consider doing it whenever you happen to need just a few more resources to craft something that you want. Next up is the fact that you can repair your ship before you open the airlock in complete safety. The way this works is once you go ahead and dock for a raid, before you open that airlock, you are not vulnerable to anyone. No one can board your ship, no one can come in through your airlock and attack you. You are totally safe unless someone happened to board you ahead of time, but the odds of that happening are very slim anyways, given the circumstances of you actually being able to dock. All you need to do is once you're in that docked state before you've opened your airlock is simply grab your fire extinguisher and go ahead and put out your engine fire in order to repair it. This is a great way to escape ships but not die in the process or have to give up your ship entirely. I know for me in particular, this has saved me from losing a valuable ship multiple times, so hopefully you'll find it useful too. Alrighty, we are almost there with our second to last thing, and this one is pretty straightforward. If you didn't already know, you can spawn in with your Rustbucket, take the items on the table, but also take the fire extinguishers, run out of the mission with your ship, and then sell them for a profit. You can also scrap them for materials, but that's just another option. This is a no risk, only reward situation, so if you are totally broke or just need a little bit of extra money to buy something, consider doing this as it's a pretty good way to make money pretty fast if you're really desperate for it. It's not the most efficient way, but hey, when you're starting out or you happen to be totally broke from dying too much, it can really start to pay off. Now, before we move into the last one today, I do have a sort of quick bonus one for you, and that's just the fact that you can take fire extinguishers, as we mentioned earlier, out of the mission. You can then put them in your ship's loadout inventory in order to take them back into the mission with you. This is a great way if you're planning to do a lot of ship combat to make sure you have plenty of supplies to repair your own ship. The idea once again is to spawn in with a rust bucket, take all the fire extinguishers, load them up onto your new ship or your new ship and in your inventory, and if you inventory stack this with multiple players, you'll have more than enough fire extinguishers to repair your ship for quite a while. Alrighty, moving on to our very last thing that you might not have known that is probably the most useful thing on this list. It's very simple and some of you might already know it, but if you didn't, all you need to do is simply control-click items to move them to your inventory faster. You can also use your R button in order to rotate items to save you space whenever you're trying to organize your backpack or your storage. I know it's silly and many of you probably already know this one, but trust me, this thing is the most useful tip. I actually did not know how to do this for the longest time playing Marauders, and when my friend told me, I was just blown away that I had not been using it the whole time. Remember, R is to rotate an item, and Control is to instantly move it over. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I want to give a quick shout out to Jonathan S., Caustic FPV, and Jim Phillips. Thank you all so much for supporting our channel by being channel members, which you can check out down below if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, we do make new survival content on a regular basis and put out several videos every week. And like if you enjoyed it, dislike if you didn't. Otherwise, I'm Game Advisor, and I'll see you next time.